Breaking free, the journey from imposter to authentic self. Have you ever felt like a fraud, questioning your accomplishments and doubting your abilities, even in the face of clear evidence to the contrary? That nagging voice whispering, you don't belong here or you're not good enough? If so, you're not alone. Today, we're diving deep into a topic that affects countless individuals, yet often goes unspoken: imposter syndrome. I'm thrilled to share with you the invaluable insights I've gained from an extraordinary conversation with Lisa Parker, a visionary in the realm of personal growth and professional development. Lisa's work has touched countless lives, empowering individuals to overcome their inner obstacles and design lives of authenticity and purpose. Her impact on making the world a better place is truly remarkable, igniting a movement of self-discovery and empowerment that's spreading like wildfire across communities and industries. Lisa's perspective on imposter syndrome challenges the very core of how we typically think about this pervasive issue. She posits that at its heart, imposter syndrome is often rooted in allowing others to define who we are and what we're capable of. It's a false perception of our value and abilities that we've internalized over time, a distorted mirror reflecting not our true selves, but the expectations and judgments of others. This insight hit me like a bolt of lightning. How many of us have lived our lives according to others' expectations? How often have we dimmed our light because someone else told us we weren't bright enough? The weight of these questions is palpable, isn't it? Lisa's words resonated deeply with me, and I know they will with you too. She described her own journey of self-discovery, a path that led her to realize she wasn't showing up in her own life in a genuine and authentic way. It was this realization that sparked her quest to understand what it truly means to be an imposter in one's own life and how to overcome it. As we delve deeper into our conversation, Lisa shared 3 key insights that I believe can transform the way we approach imposter syndrome. The first is to acknowledge and validate our feelings. It's crucial to recognize when we're experiencing imposter syndrome and understand that it's a common phenomenon, especially among Black professionals and other marginalized groups. We need to give ourselves permission to feel these emotions without judgment. Let me share with you a powerful story that illustrates this point. Imagine a young Black woman named Tanya, fresh out of graduate school, landing her dream job at a prestigious tech company. On paper, she's more than qualified. Top of her class, impressive internships, glowing recommendations. But as she walks into the sleek, modern office on her first day, she's overwhelmed by a sense of not belonging. Tanya looks around and sees very few faces that look like hers. In meetings, she second-guesses every contribution, convinced that at any moment, someone will expose her as a fraud. Despite her impressive qualifications, she feels like an intellectual imposter, constantly doubting her abilities. This story might sound familiar to many of you. It's a common experience, especially for Black professionals navigating predominantly white spaces. But here's where Tanya's story takes a turn. Instead of letting these feelings consume her, she decides to acknowledge them. She names her experience imposter syndrome. Tanya starts keeping a journal, documenting her achievements, no matter how small. She writes down compliments from colleagues, successful project outcomes, and moments when she overcame challenges. Slowly but surely, she begins to build a more accurate picture of her capabilities. She also reaches out to a mentor, an experienced Black woman in her field. Her mentor shares her own experiences with imposter syndrome, helping Tanya realize she's not alone in these feelings. This validation is powerful, allowing Tanya to see her struggles not as personal failings, but as a common experience that can be overcome. Over time, Tanya's confidence grows. She starts to speak up more in meetings, to take on challenging projects. She's not free from doubt. Imposter syndrome doesn't disappear overnight, but she's learned to recognize it and not let it control her actions. Tanya's story illustrates the power of acknowledging and validating our feelings. By recognizing imposter syndrome for what it is, we can begin to separate our true capabilities from the distorted lens of self-doubt. This brings us to Lisa's second key insight, the importance of challenging negative self-talk. Our internal dialogue has a profound impact on how we perceive ourselves and our abilities. Lisa introduced me to the concept of a brag book, a collection of our accomplishments, big and small, that we can refer to when self-doubt creeps in. Let me share another story that brings this concept to life. Meet Marcus, a mid-career professional who had always struggled with self-confidence. Despite a track record of success, he constantly downplayed his achievements. brushing off compliments and attributing his accomplishments to luck rather than skill. Marcus's negative self-talk was a constant companion. You're not smart enough for this project, it would whisper. They're going to realize you don't know what you're doing. These thoughts were so ingrained that Marcus didn't even recognize them as separate from his own identity. One day, after missing out on a promotion he was clearly qualified for, Marcus decided enough was enough. He started working with a career coach who introduced him to the concept of the brag book. At first, Marcus felt uncomfortable. Wasn't this just bragging? But his coach encouraged him to think of it as a factual record of his achievements. Marcus started small. He wrote down a successful presentation he gave, a problem he solved for a client, a thank you email from a colleague. As the list grew, Marcus was surprised to see how much he had accomplished. He began to challenge his negative self-talk with evidence from his brag book. When his inner voice said, "You're not qualified for this," Marcus could now counter with, "Actually, I've successfully led 3 similar projects. Here's the evidence." It wasn't easy and it felt unnatural at first, but gradually Marcus's self-talk began to shift. He started practicing positive affirmations, reminding himself of his strengths and capabilities. When faced with a challenge, instead of immediately doubting himself, Marcus would take a moment to recall past successes and remind himself, "I've overcome challenges before, I can do this." The change in Marcus wasn't just internal. Colleagues began to notice his increased confidence. He started taking on more challenging projects, speaking up more in meetings, and even mentoring junior staff. When the next opportunity for promotion came around, Marcus was ready. He could articulate his value to the company with confidence, backing it up with concrete examples from his brag book. Marcus's story shows us the power of challenging our negative self-talk. By consciously focusing on our successes and practicing positive self-talk, we can rewire our brains to recognize our true worth. This leads us to Lisa's third key insight, the power of seeking support and practicing self-compassion. She emphasized the importance of sharing our experiences with trusted friends, family, or colleagues. Seeking mentorship or professional guidance can provide invaluable perspective and support. Let me illustrate this with one more story. Meet Aisha, a talented designer who had always dreamed of starting her own agency. Despite her skills and experience, the thought of striking out on her own filled her with dread. Who would hire me? She thought. There are so many better designers out there. Aisha's imposter syndrome was holding her back from pursuing her dreams. She felt isolated in her fears, convinced that successful entrepreneurs never doubted themselves. This belief kept her stuck in a job that no longer fulfilled her, too afraid to take the leap. Everything changed when Aisha reluctantly attended a networking event for creative professionals. There, she met Sarah, a successful agency owner who would become her mentor. To Aisha's surprise, Sarah openly shared her own struggles with imposter syndrome, even years into running her successful business. This revelation was transformative for Aisha. Realizing that even accomplished professionals grappled with self-doubt made her feel less alone. Sarah encouraged Aisha to join a support group for creative entrepreneurs where she found a community of peers facing similar challenges. In this supportive environment, Aisha learned to practice self-compassion. Instead of berating herself for feeling uncertain, she began to acknowledge her fears with kindness. "It's okay to feel nervous," she would tell herself. "This is new territory and it's natural to have doubts." With Sarah's mentorship and the support of her peer group, Aisha gradually built up the courage to start freelancing on the side. Each small success bolstered her confidence. When she faced setbacks, she had a support system to turn to for advice and encouragement. Aisha also learned the power of vulnerability. By sharing her fears and challenges with her support group, she not only received help, but also inspired others with her courage. She realized that by opening up about her struggles, she was helping to create a more honest dialogue about the realities of entrepreneurship. 2 years after that fateful networking event, Aisha launched her own design agency. It wasn't always smooth sailing. There were moments of doubt and challenges along the way. But armed with self-compassion and a strong support network, Aisha was able to navigate these obstacles with resilience and grace. Aisha's story highlights the transformative power of seeking support and practicing self-compassion. By sharing our experiences and treating ourselves with kindness, we can overcome the isolation and self criticism that often accompany imposter syndrome. These stories, Tanya's journey of self validation, Marcus's transformation through positive self talk, and Aisha's growth through mentorship and self compassion, illustrate the three key strategies Lisa shared for overcoming imposter syndrome. But they also point to a larger truth. The journey to authenticity is not a solitary one. It's a path we walk together, supporting and uplifting one another along the way. As we near the end of our time together, I want to leave you with a challenge. Imagine for a moment a world where everyone felt free to be their true selves, where imposter syndrome was a thing of the past. What kind of innovations might we see? What problems might we solve? What joy might we experience? That world is possible, and it starts with each of us embracing our authenticity and encouraging others to do the same. So here's my call to action for you. First, commit to acknowledging and validating your feelings. The next time you feel like an imposter, pause. Name the feeling. Remind yourself that it's a common experience, not a reflection of your true abilities. Second, challenge your negative self talk. Start your own brag book. Write down your accomplishments, no matter how small they might seem. Practice positive affirmations. When self doubt creeps in, counter it with evidence of your capabilities. Third, seek support and practice self compassion. Reach out to a friend, a colleague, or a mentor. Share your experiences. Remember, vulnerability is not weakness, it's courage in its purest form. And treat yourself with the same kindness and understanding you would offer a dear friend. But don't stop there. Take these insights into your communities, your workplaces, your families. Start conversations about imposter syndrome and authenticity. By bringing these topics into the light, we reduce their power over us and create spaces for healing and growth. Remember, your journey is unique and it's okay to take it at your own pace. Some days you might feel on top of the world, while others you might struggle with self doubt. That's all part of the human experience. What matters is that you keep moving forward, keep growing, and keep believing in yourself. You're not an imposter. You belong in every room you enter, at every table where you sit. Your voice matters, your experiences matter, and your contributions to this world are valuable beyond measure. As we conclude, I want you to take a moment to reflect. Think about a time when you felt most alive, most authentic, a moment when you were fully present, fully engaged, without worrying about what others might think. Hold on to that feeling. That's your true self shining through. Now, imagine bringing that authentic self into every aspect of your life. Imagine the impact you could have, the connections you could forge, the dreams you could realize. That's the power of overcoming imposter syndrome and embracing your authentic self. You have within you everything you need to begin this journey. The insights we've explored today, acknowledging your feelings and challenging negative self talk, seeking support, and practicing self compassion, these are your tools. Use them, refine them, share them with others. The world needs your unique gifts, your perspectives, your authentic self. Don't let imposter syndrome rob us of your light. Shine bright, be bold, be you. As you leave here today, carry with you this truth. You are capable, you are worthy, you are enough. Not because someone else says so, but because it's the fundamental truth of who you are. Thank you for joining me on this exploration of imposter syndrome and the power of authenticity. Now go forth and live your most authentic life. The world is waiting for you to show up as your true self. Are you ready to answer that call? Remember, every journey begins with a single step. What will your first step be? The choice is yours. The time is now. Let's create a world where authenticity reigns and imposter syndrome is nothing but a distant memory. Together, we can make it happen. The revolution of self acceptance and authenticity starts with you. Are you ready to lead the charge? Thank you.